Like, what were some of the projects that you worked on during the boot camp?
Pretty much like gives you it gives you little challenges to code a certain website. It's pretty straightforward. You just code various websites and learn how to use the React and Mern stack.
So you have like you're coding these like websites, but also like what are the like teachers like teaching you while you do this? Like I'm just curious of that balance of like projects, but also like learnings that you get from the professors.
So the way that it's structured is you get this repo that you clone, and there's one activity that the instructor does live and goes through, and then there's another one right after that you break out into breakout rooms on Zoom, and you all do just with your peers, and you do it yourself. So it's like watch, do, watch, do, and that's the cadence of it. And then there's 3 or 4 big group projects that happen over the course of a couple days where you just stop the watch do cadence and you just do with a group of peers, and you get to decide to build whatever you want.
Yeah. So what did you build? I know I have a good idea about what you built. Like, yeah, but like what did you build for one of these projects?
We built a video game that had NPC driven AI driven NPC dialogue. So it was like a retro style top down style game, and all the NPCs in the game were driven by OpenAI API. And there were mini games that you could play, like 20 questions and other sort of mini games, all word based with AI.
For this project, then you guys I think the coolest part of that was like you guys were using like open AIs to like make this an AI driven game with like NPC characters. So like what were these players able to do then with this integration with open AI?
They were able to talk with the NPCs and have more organic dialogue, and they were able to you had to get a bunch of items from different villagers on this planet so you could fix your ship and leave the planet. And to get an item from each person, you had to chat with them and get some information. And also you had to sometimes play a mini game and like 20 questions or some other word-based mini game, or you had to write a poem that GPT would rank. And if you got like an over 3 out of 5, you would get the thing.
That's so cool. And so how many people were working on you with this project? I feel like this is like a huge project to like take on, especially like if you're doing this intense boot camp. There's a lot going on. So like how many people were you working on with this, and like what were some of your roles that you did in it?
Each group project was like 4 people, and each one was a big learning curve. We definitely were stretched each time we would do a project like that, because we were all building a video game for the first time, and most of the people had never coded at all before the boot camp. So we'd come a long way.
What did you think? Yeah, that was a question I wanted to ask, like, because you had previous coding experience, like going into that. So, but would you recommend people have some sort of like coding experience before they go? Or do you think people can just really, as long as you know how to copy and paste, you can hop into this thing? Or what would you suggest?
Maybe it depends how good of a student you are. I haven't really developed that good of student skills. So for me, I was struggling. I was up against, the edge of my capabilities, so to speak. I mean, I did great in the boot camp, but I was working really, really hard, and the amount of coding experience I had before it really gave me a huge benefit. So, but I think a lot of other people who are really good at paying attention in class and who don't have that like ADHD mind, they were doing okay. But there were some people who came in with no coding experience who just drowned under the sheer, amount of it all. It really is a lot. Like, it's just how much do you get out of it also? Like, it's one thing to pass, but how much are you really getting out of it? And are you taking advantage of every little bit of it and retaining the majority of it?
That's what I think would be the hardest for me, is like those student skills. Cause like some people are just like great, like like in session school like students. And I was never that growing up. Some people just had like a recipe for like doing tests or like completing projects, but that was like literally never me. So yeah, I think that would be that's actually a really interesting point that people need to be actually be like a decent student to do well if you don't have coding experience.